6:35.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. It's 6:35. We're calling the meeting to order. I'm Asad Almajar. I'm member of the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, and I'm the chairman for the Safety and Transit Committee.
I'm Gabriel, same thing, Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, also the president of Renaissance.
David Balin, sitting on the Committee for Traffic and Safety as one of the committee members and the vice president of the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council.
Aline Sahikian, I'm the neighborhood prosecutor for the Devonshire area, and I'm also the school safety prosecutor for this area. Good evening.
Hello, everyone. I am Senior Lead Officer Danny Delvalle, Devonshire Division. I cover Porter Ranch and Chatsworth. There are actually two Senior Lead Officers that cover Porter Ranch. The other one is Senior Lead Officer Dario Del Por, but he is out and soon to be retired.
He's not coming back.
He's not coming back. He's not coming back. Thank you for having us.
Let me do a roll call real quick. I see David's here, Assad, I'm here, so we have a quorum, so we can move forward with the meeting. And the first topic is discussing with LAPD regarding community safety matters. And this time I'm going to open it up to Officer Delvalle with the residents of the community, and we can go back and forth with questions and answers as much as we can.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
We have a seat.
On that table that you saw me drag out over there, not like a criminal. But I drew maps of the area that concerns us, or over here. And there's a few maps there that will give, actually I put for the month, for this area specifically. And then I have some other maps there regarding accidents, K injuries, as such. We've had a number of issues going on. I like to go into, let me get the little stuff out of the way so then we can hit the harder stuff and you have questions. Because I have a number of things that I know we're on a limited time for the meeting itself. The easy stuff, Devonshire events are going on. We already had the Shepherd Church tree lighting on the 6th, which is tomorrow. Granada Hills is also having a tree lighting at Veterans Square, which is basically Zelza and Chatsworth, that area, and it's at 6 p.m. December 8th is the Granada Hills Christmas Parade, 36th annual Christmas Parade. That starts at 1:30, and it's actually a nice event. Elaine will be in there with us in the parade. We have also an event with Hal's Toy Drive going on. That toy drive is for needy kids throughout the whole area. They go to the Powell Center, which is a community center that LAPD is affiliated with, and we try to get toys for the needy kids. So if you folks are looking for, like going, hey, you know what, we want to, try to help some kids out for the area, that would be a good cause. You can always bring the toys to the Devonshire Police Station front desk. We have some boxes there, and they'll gladly take them. The last day is December 13th. There's another location too, the councilman's office, John Lee. He also supports this. He has boxes at his facility there on Oakdale, 9207 Oakdale. He'll have boxes there that he'll also accept toys. Again, last day is the 13th. The event is the 14th at the Powell Center. 8721 Wilbur, and that's at 9 a.m. December 11th, we have a community outreach day out here at the Vineyards, just here in Porter Ranch. That's a new area, the shopping center. You'll see, I'm telling you because I know people will see police cars, and they might even see the helicopter floating around, and they'll go, oh my gosh, what's going on? Because there is criminal activity. That's just us doing community outreach. And also, we just like to keep the area safe. So with that visibility presence, keeps crime away. That's why we do it. One, because we want to have that interaction with the community, let people know, hey, it's okay to talk to us, the kids will see us. During the day, I'll also have our volunteer cavalry, so you'll see some horses out there, probably about from 1 to 3. They'll go away, it'll get darker, and then you'll see the senior lead officers, and with our command post out there, and some black and whites, and we'll just be doing that high visibility. And like I say, so, you know, if you see that, don't be alarmed. It's just us doing community outreach. Okay? On December 15th, we have the Chatsworth Christmas Parade and Festival. That's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and that parade kicks off at 1 p.m. It's on Devonshire from Topanga to Lurline. We've had that for a number of years. Like I say, it's a good family fun event. So if folks, you know, like I say, like to go out there, and that's rain permitted. You know, I'm sure we'll still have it, but we're getting this weather here that's kind of shaky for us. With that being said, I also want to go ahead and remind people we had all those fires, and with the fires, it burned down, you know, all the brush that holds the ground together and such. So you know, you never know if we might have some mudslides, any type of activity like that. We, LAPD, the fire department, when we have these heavy rains, we'll actually go ahead and try to monitor the area and make sure that we're not having any type of activity as such that's going to, you know, hurt our community. If you see anything, call it in, you know, because sometimes people see things that we don't. Go ahead and call it in. We'll go ahead and we'll send officers out and to investigate and make sure that everyone's safe. With that being said, with all the water runoff too, the fire department is offering sandbags within the area, and the nearest fire station for Porter Ranch for us out here is Station 28, and that's at 11641 Corbin Street. And they are offering free sandbags. So if you feel, like in your community, if you have an area where you know there's a lot of water rushing through and you think it's going to cause some type of issues, just plan early. And hopefully, like I said, we won't have any issues. The phone number for the fire department over there is 818-756-9728. Again, 818-756-9728. Again, like I said, call in if there's any movement per se. Simi Valley had an incident. I just saw on the news where a pet was attacked. I'm just bringing that out because we're neighbors to Simi. Sometimes issues carry over for us. And we need to be aware of our pets being out with all that activity that happened in the hillsides and such. It brings the other animals out, the coyotes, the mountain lions, things like that, because they're hungry. They're looking for food. And like I have small dogs too. They might think that that's a meal. Okay. And I want you folks, you know, our pets are also, I love mine like, you know, they're my kids. So, when
college tuition.
Yeah. Exactly. But, you know, when you go out and you let your pets out, for me, myself, I go outside with them, just to keep an eye on what's going on. Sometimes, folks will just let their dogs out and put them in the backyard, and you don't know what's floating around out there. I had an incident here, I live out in Santa Clarita, but same type of environment, and I had an issue with the mountain lions, we were there. And I say, folks, just a word to the caution and to keep an eye on your pets, because it could easily happen over here. Other things, other events that are going on. Hanukkah celebration at the Vineyards is on the 23rd from 6 to 8 in front of the movie theaters. Also another day of Hanukkah celebration, December 26th, DeSoto and Devonshire from 6 to 9. Okay, now to heading more towards the crime. Holiday safety issues, measures. On the back table, I also have a list of holiday plans. I think I put it back there already. There should be a holiday safety tips that you folks can look at. A lot of it's regarding the holidays now, presents, people going out to the stores, the shopping malls and stuff, and you're going to load up your cars. Be mindful, please, of what how you're putting your presents, your items, your property in your vehicles, because criminals are opportunists. They're looking for the easy strike. They're looking for that type of activity. If you can, make your purchases all together and then take them home with you. On that note too, be aware of your surroundings of you going home, that somebody's not following you home, because that type of activity happens also. Okay, I don't want to scare you, but I do. A little bit. Enough to be cautious, because it's a reality. Hey, this is a great area. Love this area. But the reality is things do happen out here too. And I think that's why we're having this meeting too, right? Like I said, be mindful of that. Talk to your kids, your family members, your neighbors. If you're going to go to ATMs, because now sometimes you're like, oh, I just need to go ahead and get some cash. Try to do it where there's a lot of traffic, where you're not going to be by yourself. And, if it's inside, like a store or something, even better. If you can do it always during the day, please do so. But like I said, be mindful of that, and be mindful to look around who's in the area. A lot of times that criminal is looking for someone who's just not wanting to make the eye contact, and is just going from, the car, and they're looking for the scared rabbit. Don't be the scared rabbit, okay? This is our neighborhood, and, we belong, right? You go ahead and just let them know, hey, I see you. You don't have to, I'm not telling anyone to have any type of confrontation or bad attitude with anybody, but just let them know that, that you see them, you make contact, okay? Because that's always a good indicator, like I say, as to them not wanting to go ahead and deal with you. They'll deal with, like I say, they're looking for that scared rabbit. So let's not have any scared rabbits around here. The tips also too about leaving the windows open and such, because we want to cool things off, and the weather and such, or leaving windows open. Not, we have to be mindful of that. If you're leaving away for vacation, let one neighbor know. Don't let the whole block know. Okay. And not to go ahead and knock neighbors or what have you. It's just sometimes innocently things are said, and then people know who's not home. Especially if you're posting on social media. Be aware of that. Make all those posts when you come back. I had a best vacation. Well, do it when you come back. Like I say, remember about if you're going away for the holidays, have someone bring in the trash cans, bring in the mail. If you can, tell them even too. Say, hey, if you want to go ahead and use my driveway, well, you're welcome to it, I'm not home. You know, because a lot of times, that's what criminals look for too. Oh, is there a car parked in the driveway? Is anybody home? Or does it look empty? And remember, like I said, secure your house. Don't leave doors unlocked or windows unlocked and such, because that's what they look for. They go to the front door, locked, okay, let's go to the side, it's locked or open, you know, and until they find something that's open. They're looking for an easy target. If you make it hard, that's better. I always, we totally promote real-time cameras too, videos. That's a great tool. You know, there's these different companies that are out there, Ring, Nest, just a number of them that you can go ahead and, like I say, for me, I have it at my house. I live in a gated community, you know, and I still have these tools because they do help. I like knowing who's coming and who's going. I like keeping an eye on my kids.
And dogs.
And the dogs, yeah. But it really does help, because at times too, you see something that's not right, you can address it immediately. You can say, hey, you know, what can I help you with? You know, if they say, well, I just want to go ahead and talk to you if you're not home, you know, don't tell them you're not home. Just tell them, hey, I'm busy. And if they're insistent, say, hey, I told you, I don't want your business, or leave. And if they're not leaving, go ahead and you feel that fear, call the police. If you're seeing them trying your doorknob and such, that right there, that's a criminal act, okay? Because do they live there? No. Why do they need to go ahead and see if your door's unlocked? Probably because they want to go ahead and get in your house. So I would immediately go ahead, like I say, you get that information, get on the horn, 911. You know, let us have that opportunity, that time to respond. And we'll go ahead and deal with that person in a professional manner. But at least it gives us a little bit of time to get there. You know, if they see that type of activity, boom, we'll go ahead and respond. The Los Angeles Police Department will not go ahead and ding you or say, hey, oh, you shouldn't have called. You know, on the other hand, it'll be like, hey, thank you. Thank you for giving us a reason or a location to go to, because if we, you know, we're trying to catch criminals. You know, like I said, and then if it's nothing, if it's innocent, we will totally be professional and say, okay, you know, thank you for your time, but we're checking the area for the residents. We wouldn't be doing our jobs if we weren't investigating things, right? Okay, because I know sometimes folks go ahead and they go, hey, you know, I don't want to feel silly. I don't want to, you know, look, you know, dumb, and you know, if it was nothing or what have you. No, don't worry about that. That's you know, like I say, that's for us to go ahead and check into things, and we're more than happy to look at that. Like I say, for the area, I already talked about. We have a holiday crime reduction strategies that are going on throughout Devonshire Division, where we go ahead and target areas within our divisions that are hot spots, and we consistently look at that. We go ahead and have crime CAD meetings every morning. We see what areas were hit with crimes, burglaries, robberies, any type, you know, like a specific crime. We talk to our crime analysis detail unit. It's our CAD unit. And every day we meet with them and we discuss what happened, you know, the night before. Mondays, anything like the captains are in there with us, the watch commanders, and this is for the senior lead officers to delegate as what resources we need to try to combat the crime. We've been very fortunate that Devonshire has a very large volunteer program, which we've been able to go ahead and we have our VCP, Volunteer Community Patrol. They go out and they go out in the communities. You'll see them in cars Right now they're BMWs and they have lights and such. Well, some of them we're trying to get more lights on there. But they're out there looking in the areas, and they actually have radios that they've been trained to notify us. If they see things that are out of place and such, they help us out, they call it in. So, we also have, when we have issues like we've had with the burglaries, we ask for VCP to go ahead and saturate the area, look around and see if they can go ahead and find anything to lead us to. We also have VST, Volunteer Surveillance Team. They're out there in plain clothes, so they're dressed, they're folks just like you that are out there that are assisting with an officer, and they're specifically targeting areas that work and everything. The reason why I'm talking to you about these are the tools that I will utilize, and I ask for, when we're having issues within the community, and we see where these burglaries or car break-ins and such, where they're occurring at. I noticed that we, like I put on the map on the back there, for a month period, we had burglaries. We had the 4 burglaries, and they occurred actually via Salini. Misplaced my glasses on the other hand. I can use my other glasses. 2 of the burglaries actually were via Salini, the 20300 block. That was another issue I'm looking at. We had a burglary there, and also we had a robbery, just so you know, on the 2nd, and that was at 1 o'clock in the morning. That happened was a person was out at a gambling casino, Bell Gardens area, and they believed that they were followed from that gambling casino, and once they got into the residence, they were followed in, and then they were actually robbed out there. Okay. I tell you these things because, like I said remember earlier about Christmas, same thing though too. You're out late at night, if you're visiting an establishment like that, they might think that you want a lot of money, and then you don't want to be that victim. If you see something like that and you're worried, hey, I have this car that's been following me for a while, if you have a cell phone, use it. And go ahead and tell, like I said, call 911, tell them what's going on, let them know the type of vehicle, if you can see who's driving the vehicle, give them a description, if you can do that. Let's say you don't have a phone or your phone goes dead. Think, hey, you know what? I should drive straight over to the police department, okay? And because that's where your help's going to be.
The problem, not to interrupt, the problem would be, what if the LAPD office is closed at nights? What would they do then?
They're very true. And Devonshire Division is closed. There's always officers going in and out, and we have a camera that actually does cover the front. It would be, the ones that stay open are Van Nuys. They stay open. Van Nuys Division, that would be one that does not close ever. So you want to go there, but that's a good point.
What time does Devonshire close? What time does Devonshire close?
Devonshire closes, it's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. They start shutting about 9:30, 10-ish.
Shouldn't the police department be 24 hours?
It always has been, but for budget cuts and such, they implemented that this year. And so a lot of stations, they close their doors, but I'm just telling you what the rationale behind them thinking this is. It allows more officers to be out on the street than to be at the desk. So they'd rather have them out in the patrolling than at the front desk.
Excuse me, how was the robbery done? How did they get in? That's an important fact for us.
Yeah, exactly.
How do they follow through and then the person gets into the gate? How did that person follow them?
I can't go into specifics, into the thing. All I can say is they did get in, and you have to be mindful about other people just sneaking in, okay? Like I said, it's an investigation that's it's ongoing, so I can't really talk about it. There's lapses sometimes with certain gates that shut very slowly. Sometimes you have to, like I say, it's not always a vehicle getting through too. It's people walking past the gates that are going ahead and going through. So remember that too, okay? And I can't, like I say, I apologize, but I can't go into totally the investigation that's going on right now. A couple of burglaries that happened, there were blocks from one another out here in the gated area that occurred this last month. Also, near an area on that has a side street. Do you have a question, sir? No. Oh, okay. Be aware of that. Within that period, though, they were hit at different times. You had some burglaries that occurred like a week apart and such, and another one that was within the same day, but it was like in the same area, close by, but not, but it was like open, where they're having the new construction over there by the school, off in the north west area, portion of that area over there. And then also in Sorrento, there was another area that was hit. Like I say, we just have to be mindful of that type of activity and really be aware. I know we were having the issues before with Browns Canyon. We gave some suggestions on that. We will go ahead and we use some other things like tools that we have. Sometimes people will go, hey, what about more police area allowing us to go in there? Yeah, we will definitely, like I say, step up the patrols coming through here. And like I said, if you see us, we're here to help you out. We're not here to harass anyone, here to go ahead and, like I say, be a negative. It's to be the positive, okay? If you folks, like I say, feel that you want to have a neighborhood watch meeting on your own, for your own neighborhood, let's do it. Get a hold of me. I also put my contact information on the back, and we'll do a startup meeting for your block. I know this is a neighborhood council meeting. Like I say, I can only have so much time here, but when we have those specific meetings, it's for you, and it's to help you out. And it's like I say, it's to get your neighbors also involved. Again, I strongly suggest cameras, real-time cameras, that allow you to go ahead and see when something's going on immediately, because then you're able to address it. And you're also able to go ahead, like I say, if you're not home, make the phone calls to the police or to the neighbors and let them know what type of activity is going on. And it records. So we know, even if all of that kind of goes out of play, kind of an idea of who we're looking for at least. Because if you don't have anything like that, who's to say what we're looking for? Okay? Yes?
What are you guys doing about the houses that are condemned?
What houses are condemned?
The houses from the fires that were condemned?
Oh, for the burn homes? The burn homes? For us, that's a different issue. It's building and safety. That deals with burned, condemned homes and such.
Right, but I'm talking about in terms of burglary and squatters.
If you see something like that, let us know, and we'll go ahead and we'll address it then and there. Yeah. So please know, if you do though, let us know. Don't assume. that they're there, you know, that they've been given permission, let us check it out. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, first I'd like to thank you and your other police officers, especially during the fires. You guys were just incredible.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Having said that, you've been speaking for literally 30 minutes straight, and the word homeless has not come up. And I think the homeless in our area that's growing literally day by day, it's doubling and tripling. And there's incidents everywhere. I could tell you a dozen incidents that I've read about on Nextdoor or talked to my neighbors or personally experienced. And the fact that you went for 30 minutes and the word homeless didn't come out of your mouth, I think is indicative of what the problem is. Why is that not the #1 issue here?
Well, I think because it was called to my attention, the #1 issue was theft. To be honest with you. So I'm going to cover my issues of theft first. You want to talk about homeless? I can talk
Yes,
about
I would
homeless.
like to talk about
The
it.
homeless, we're gonna be in item number 7. And
But he's the police officer.
Yes, he's
Shouldn't he be
here.
speaking about this?
okay, well, we'll take it right now. So once we finish this one in a few minutes, we'll bring item 7 up and address the homeless.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Listen.
Ask me as
I have a suggestion. I've seen the patrol cars parked in the street, on Main Street, just to indicate that there was a police presence in the property. Wouldn't that be better if it's parked in front of somebody's house on a smaller street? Because once one is on a Main Street, they know it's just parked there.
Yeah,
And
actually.
nobody's there, so.
Yeah, I try
don't
to do
take it
that also
seriously.
too. Like when we were going ahead and we were leaving it within the gate. And we're leaving it, you know, like off of Via Salini and
Yeah.
such. Yeah, we can, yeah, we definitely
If you
leave
move it in
it.
a smaller street, then people will be concerned, so, oh, maybe the police is actually here.
Yes.
It's into that house or whatever, but when it's on a Main Street, they know it's just parked there.
Correct,
For
yes,
nothing.
and that's a good idea. Thank you for bringing that up, sir.
Street racing and speeding. Can you give us an update on that,
Okay.
please?
Is this question?
Go ahead.
It's about the car. I'm curious about the capability of the car. Is that car, does it have a video capability in it? Or is it just a plain dumb decoy? I mean, the word dummy decoy.
I understand.
I mean, it seems to me maybe the council can speak on that.
Well-
That, I mean, are we trying to capture any real-time data? You spoke eloquently about the use of video. I mean, you know, here's a perfect opportunity to, you know, put a video camera where we need it.
Correct. Most of our cars that we're leaving out, they don't record. Because I'm just saying what's available to us.
Well, I'm curious, not that car has it, are there any cars citywide that have that capability? And if so, where are they? Can we get one?
I knew of one, to be honest with you. And I haven't seen it at our station in a while. I don't know if it's coming back or what the deal is with it, but I'll check into it.
And the evidence is allowable?
We also had speed trailers that you see that we put out every now and then that will tell people how fast you're going, slow down. Those record also license plates. And we do have a few plate readers that will gather the information. So we do have that capability. We do go ahead and do things. At times, like I say, for the cars, though, they're putting them out in the field, so when they're driving somewhere, they're going through and they're getting things out. We can try to go ahead and see what we can do about getting something like that.
Yeah, because I'm more concerned about the street racing issue also, because I'm at the terminus of where the activity is. And, you know, video
The speed
is...
racing, are we increasing?
Okay.
I don't want to get into your area. I mean, I know a little bit into it.
Yes, okay. And I don't want to downsize of the homeless, okay?
Right.
I do want to downsize the homeless.
Well, I nothing against the homeless, but yeah, they need to, yeah. We have to be mindful of what we say. We go ahead and try to, with the homeless issues, we're out there consistently trying to give them information, resources and such on where to go, shelters, homes, resources. Do they go ahead and take that information? No. If they do, they take it and they throw it in the trash, a lot of times. Have some of them? Yes, but the percentage, very, very small. And I'm being honest here.
So if that's not working, what's the next step? What do you do?
Can we discuss
Why are they
this
not
as
in
a
jail if
topic?
they're on drugs? If they're mentally ill, why are they on the streets? If they're aggressive and, I'm a 70-year-old, 5'3" woman. I have to fear going to the Ralphs because these homeless are very aggressive and they're getting more aggressive. My neighbor couldn't leave the 7-Eleven on Rinaldi in the middle of the afternoon because a homeless person was blocking her car and screaming at her, and she was terrified. It's happening everywhere. I could tell you literally personally a dozen people that I know personally that have had incidents. I never see the police. I don't see anyone being arrested. I don't see anybody being moved. When Dario was well and he was our senior lead officer, he did a really good job. If he saw people loitering, he made them move. If he saw RVs that were parked, he ran warrants and they were gone. Since he's been ill and now that he's retired, it's just gotten way, way worse in the last few months. I'm sure everyone has seen a huge increase in the last few months, and there's only one man that was holding that back, and now he's gone. But, there's an entire police department, there's a mayor, there's a city council, there's a neighborhood council. Who's doing anything?
Nothing. A bunch of do nothing, period.
Well, that's why we're here, but can we stop
Let the officer-
right now on this, please?
Point of
Because
order.
racing, depends on where you live,
Yeah.
is a big
Okay,
deal.
that's
and
another
we
issue
haven't-
that they're not doing
I know, but
anything.
we haven't closed that topic.
I wanted to let you
He asked me about the homeless, that's
No, I
why
know.
I
Yeah,
Well,
and I wanted to give you the floor.
I appreciate that.
As far as the homeless, no, we work them very often. The city attorney here, which sits in our office daily, sees that we go out and we address those issues. We are very fortunate that Councilman Lee has provided other funding for us to go ahead and do details regarding impounds and such. Are we limited to what we can impound as far as RVs? Yes, we are, because they're biohazards and there's a lot of other issues. Do we try to take as many when we can, when they're, to be honest with you, we see that they're messes out there. Of course we do. I go out there all the time. We impound, but like I say, there's only, if they have to be in violation, they have to be, violating, and then we're able to do stuff. And we have to have the means of where we can actually store the RVs. Vehicles themselves, then we have the homeless saying, oh, all you're doing is targeting the homeless RVs and such. No, we're out there doing everything. If a person were to run the statistics of what gets impounded Devonshire, they'll see that we impound a number of cars too.
Well, what about
Okay.
people lying in the street?
Lying in the
their own
street, and I know
filth,
you're saying about these other
being
things.
aggressive towards
Ma'am,
the public.
if you let me go ahead and finish now. Going ahead, lying in the street, it's not against the law. People can lie in the street. You want to go ahead and hear it? This might not be what you like, not be what I like, because that wasn't what I came on 30 years ago. I came on to this department 30 years ago, and that was a crime. You could go ahead and arrest people. I could arrest people for going ahead and urinating in public. No, now I know it's gotten aggressive. Do I like it? No, I don't like it. Do I try to go ahead and think, hey, how can I go at this person and arrest, or, try to go after a person who's out there, being bad? Of course I do. Senior lead officers, that's actually what our position has been. We try to be problem solvers. Do we have the answers for everything? No. That's the God's honest truth. And the other reasons why is because we're only limited by what tools are allowed to us. Is that not true?
Correct.
And if we don't have certain tools, We have to go ahead and we have to wait till there is a time and a place that we can. And just like I tell you officers, there's a time and a place for everything. So just, we have to sometimes, unfortunately, wait for that opportunity. It's like I said, I know I don't like it either, man. Believe me, I have high blood pressure. But like I say, it's sad. It's a hard thing.
Maybe the question's not for you. Maybe the question's at the next level and higher up, the counselor. What kind of tools are you allowing?
Well, you see my blood pressure go down.
What kind of tools are you creating to answer these questions so the constituents can be happy about the homeless issue?
So my job as a neighborhood prosecutor is to address quality of life issues. Since I've worked at Devonshire Division for the past 5 years, if there's a crime that is committed, then I prosecute. If there are nuisance locations or problem people, then we address those. So I'd like to start with the preface that it is not against the law to be homeless. But if a homeless person, just like you and I, were to commit a crime, then we can address that issue by the LAPD officers arresting that individual for whatever penal code or muni code section that they have potentially violated, and then I will vertically prosecute, as I've done hundreds of cases, whether it's trespass at the railroad, whether it's the individual at Ralph's who assaults the manager and tries to throw a bottle just because on that particular day he or she was not, feeling that, whatever it was that was going through their mind. So we work very closely not only with LAPD Devonshire, we work very closely with the LAPD HOPE team, the Homeless Outreach Proactive Enforcement team, which on a daily basis has a list of locations that they go to clean up in your particular communities. If they see any violations, they do arrests. If they see encampment locations, they do cleanups. However, the issue is this, as I lived within the city of LA as well, there is a particular encampment, they do the cleanup with sanitation, with LAPD, HOPE, with the various agencies, the senior lead used to also go out to the locations. Things have changed a little bit now, but that's a different topic for another day. But basically, those locations are cleaned up, but the very next day, if not within hours, the individuals are back because it is no longer a violation to lie, sit, sleep. There's a 9th Circuit decision, the Boise decision, that basically indicated that because there are not enough shelter beds available, LAPD cannot arrest and basically use those certain tools unless there's a shelter bed available on that specific day that they want to arrest that individual for lying, sitting, sleeping on the sidewalk, etc. So what we do along with LAPD HOPE team is outreach with LAHSA, the Los Angeles Housing Services Authority, with LA Family Housing. We have had successes. They're not a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say that, we house everyone. There is a shortage. Some people don't feel comfortable being in a shelter location. They don't, they feel unsafe. They give various reasons as to why they would rather be out on the streets. But by the current state of affairs, though, if there's a problem location or an individual who is committing a crime, I guarantee you that we will address that issue.
And she's also, like I say, not just going to court prosecuting, she puts in stay-away orders that then they can't come to this location again. Because just their presence being at that location is a violation.
I'm confused about one thing that you mentioned right now.
Having her there because she helps us out that way. And we can go ahead and bring cases to her.
Right. But again, being homeless is not a crime. So there's two ends of the spectrum. There's members of the community who say, how could I help? How could I help my neighbors who have fallen into bad times? And do the outreach, give the resources, not necessarily money, but how to help them kind of come back up on their feet. And then there's others that, well, not in my community, when I get both ends. What we are trying to do is resolve those issues one at a time with the tools that are available within us. So if there is an individual that you see and is being a nuisance, they're aggressively panhandling, they're acting erratically, you have to call LAPD and report it because that is potentially there's a crime, something going on there. And then officers investigate. If there is a crime, then they are arrested. If there is no crime, but we know that individual is seriously facing mental health challenges, then MEU gets involved, the mental evaluation unit, and we have people who are specialized LAPD officers in assessing mental health, and then they're transported to a hospital or whatever the case might be. I've had many defendants who, although they committed a crime, they're not even, in the capacity to be able to understand that what they are committing is in fact a crime. And then we have a special section in downtown LA, a courthouse, Department 95, that addresses people who basically can't, be competent to stand trial. So it's a very intricate and complex system that, the officers deal with on a day in, day out basis. But that doesn't mean that there's no, solution to X. But currently, there's only so much that they can do as well.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Yes, ma'am, you had a question?
Get back to the theft going on in Porter Ranch. Me and quite a few of my neighbors are here. Mason, north of Mason, we've had kids or young adults hop the fence in our yards, and they're checking all the doors, and they're stealing any doors that are open. And it's a major concern for us. I don't know what we could do on Mason, or how we could, or north of Mason.
Mason access point?
Yes, the bus says
Right
that.
here.
Yeah, so
May I ask whose property? Is it private property or public property?
it's
So
private,
you-
it's a gated.
Gated community.
It's a gated community.
It's inside the
So
Renaissance.
they hop in our
No, the
yard.
street is a public street, that's what she's
Yeah,
talking about.
Mason is public, so they
Right.
climb up the hill, they're coming in our yard.
And then they hop over,
They hop the fence.
Mason basically leads to a community that was supposed to be there, but it's not there at the moment of time. So Mason shouldn't really even be open, but it is.
Okay.
So what they do is at night times,
We'll see if we can get our VST out there maybe and try to do a detail. We sit on there.
Well, there was
Do me a
two-
favor,
Yes.
I'm going to give you my email address. Do you have it, or are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's 27677 at lapd.online. Again, it's 27677 at lapd.online.
Because one of the ones that Robert.
And that way we can try to set something up, maybe for that, try to get you some other resources within that
the
area.
problematic times of Mason is between 8 p.m. and about 4 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
They've come in, we have video of them coming in our yard. And so when the kids were in my yard, I called the Devonshire, and they said I had to call dispatch. So when I called dispatch, after like 20 minutes, they told me to call 911, but they were gone. So my husband went up Mason.
Yeah.
So the kids, they dropped a bike, they took off, and he kind of scared them off a little bit, but they just ran to the back, so they should probably exit on Tampa.
So if you see something like that occurring, like just as she's explained, we know that there's criminal activity, burglaries going on, call 911. Don't go, let me look for the number for dispatch. Call 911, because that's a crime in progress. And that'll actually
call
expedite the
911
call.
four different
When you talk to
times.
the dispatcher
We're on hold for
too,
half
do
an
me a
hour.
favor, lay it out like that, because when they hear you on the phone, they actually will see what level of response they're gonna give you. Because still it's 911, but they're still gonna go ahead and see what level of response.
I don't think it should be called 911.
You go ahead.
We wait a half an hour. 4 different times I waited a half an hour for 911 on that same issue. We live on the same street. When I first moved into that street, and that complex, Mason was blocked off. They had a gate fenced off.
Yeah.
We had no issues. Once they open that gate, we have issues. And they find their way around.
And I understand your frustration for the 911, but still try. And then immediately when tell them, hey, you know what? We've had criminal activity up here. These kids are, they're hopping the fences, and they're going to go into this residence. And tell them that they're burglars.
Well, you guys already responded to it with 14 officers, 2 houses down from her, and 3 houses down from me. You have 14 officers there, and nothing, we haven't heard anything. Our community hasn't even told us what really happened, other than the fact that somebody supposedly came up to the back and knew that the homeowner wasn't home.
Well, the homeowner told me that the police don't want to talk about it because they makes it more difficult to catch them, but I don't know.
At times, it depends, You don't like to totally spread okay, this is what we're, actually doing on that and have you. But if you made the call, and if you're the one who's calling and such, you can go ahead and, tell them, hey, can I have the officers give me a call and tell me what.
An update.
Yeah, what's the update? Okay?
Danny, can I just bring up something about that?
Okay.
If you live in a gated community, you gotta call the cops, but you can call, in Renaissance, you can call security too. And Renaissance and Sorrento share a patrol. So, if you're just on hold with LAPD, you still have to call the cops because they aren't reading Malloy in our security department. But, you gotta do both. And
But the
if you have a
security says call
patrol,
the cops, they just hang up on you.
so,
But try both. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say a few things on the thing about that. All of what you said is terrific, and it's not your fault, it's the leadership. But we are totally underutilizing camera and license plate reader technology in this community. If the council wanted to, and it really was a priority, and the police department and this community wanted, I don't know why it's not getting done. Maybe we need to have more meetings and start putting pressure at city council to do that. I live in West Cliff. West Cliff, people are in the burglarizing, they're getting into the control panel, electrical panels, and they're pulling all of the circuits and everything out of there. And the police chief lives in that neighborhood. So if you think you're going to get help, and this happens in the police chief's neighborhood, heaven help, okay? Because I can tell you, it is going on, and nothing is being done about it.
But, sir, you made a good point, though. Yeah, let like I say, you have your government officials and such. Let them know what you're asking
And we have brought this up. Now, community meetings with regard to the homelessness. Everything you said is fantastic, this and that. But I can tell you that we have to base things on results. You go to San Fernando, a small city, you don't see it happening there. They even kicked out the vendors. They don't want street vendors on their street. So where are they? They're right on the border, on the LA side of the LA-San Fernando border. You go to Culver City, maybe some of you have seen the televised news report. The Culver City side is clean, and they do not allow the homeless to come back. And on the LA side, they let you clean up and they come back again. And
Pacific Palisades.
Yeah,
Same
because
thing.
they have different ordinances over there.
Yeah, well,
Our city council, and they're never out here.
Yeah, part of the problem
They go 40 miles,
Part of the problem is the city attorney and the city council negotiated a lousy deal with the federal government. So our hands are tied in this city, but other cities were smart, and they didn't give in to this nonsense, and they've got their problem pretty much cleaned up as best as they can. But we're never going to see a solution to this because what they're telling you today is not going to solve the problem. It's just getting worse and worse. Garcetti let the head of lawsuit, who reports to the county and the city, let that guy stay there for 5 years. He hired a bunch of people, spent $750 million, and what do we see? An increase of 30%.
Sir, the other thing I
So your politicians are, regardless of all the fancy talk they give at the meetings, they are not doing a darn thing about this. And we asked for legislation up in Sacramento that if people are mentally ill and need help, they cannot just be allowed to stay on the street. That is, to me, is inhumane, and they have not introduced any legislation at the state level and supported any legislation. So those are the answers, the long-term answers to what we need to do here, but they're not doing it, so we're going to have to live with this problem.
Another answer to our area, and what I suggest, I can go ahead and cry the blues about wanting more police within the area, but it's not up to me. There's only 2 people that can do it, and it's the mayor and the chief of police. And they've kind of heard us a while ago, and they actually had somebody come out, and I was able to take them out to the area and show them. But it never hurts to go ahead and still continue to request and say, hey, I know they did a survey a while ago. What's going on with the survey? Are we getting more police officers for the area or not? And I know I'm being recorded here.
Be careful.
Like I say, I'm not trying to go ahead and do the thing, but
If we don't see you here next
reality
time, we know
is,
what happened.
it's something that takes a while because it changes the whole dynamic of actually the division. because they're having to implement more cars, more officers. They have to change the whole basic car plan, you know. But the chief himself said, "You're right, we need it," you know. But like I say, it doesn't hurt if you folks go ahead and remind them.
It's all talk. If they wanted to do something, they have 5 or 6 years under Garcetti to get it done, and they have done nothing.
But that's the thing, we can't go down a rabbit hole, right? So we can use laws and politicians and everything else to get our way. Like, for example, zones, you know, there's a big Chatsworth industrial area. I have an office there. I'm a resident here. On Tampa, right off the freeway, brazenly, there's a homeless tent that just set up in the last month.
And very aggressive.
And it's actually like, I'm a
And those
6'2"
two
guy.
homes that are parked
And
on
I'm
the
not
freeway
scared
there,
of walking
the
the street.
registrations are all expired on those two
It's
mobile
kind of
homes.
like, really
I don't know
not
how
scary
they
to
can
walk,
stay there.
walk on that area.
Excuse me, that's a question I'd like to answer about the RVs.
To keep it simple, like the zoning, you know, at the end of Tampa, if I could finish to the gentleman's point about the rabbit hole, right? We all know LA, there's a lot of bureaucracy, red tape. But if you, like on Tampa, at the end of Tampa, for many years, there was no signs that you couldn't park, for example, right? So an RV took advantage of that loophole, parked there for about a month.
At the gas company.
And around, exactly, and around John Lee's, maybe a month or two prior to the election, they erected signs and no more towing. I mean, no more RVs. So it solved the issue. So it's not a difficult and finger pointing kind of thing. It's a very simple issue. Speeding, right? Again, I work in industry, right? Chatsworth. They have little, not speed bumps, little metal things that Englander implemented. There's some residents here, we're not negated, we're on Cessna where there's almost a fatality last week. We can implement that. It's not a difficult thing. But right now, again, going back to the zoning and the rabbit hole, I think, and this is more a question for the city attorney, some of the people that know John Lee, which I think his office, I don't know if anyone's here, should have been here.
No, they're not here.
That, you know, and I was gonna email them for a heads up, but I didn't. I wanted to see if they're gonna show. They didn't. That's not a good thing, because
Not even a representative.
this is their area. So well, even if we call re-elections coming up, and this isn't a good sign. But the question again is, can we zone them like we did on Tampa, that you can't be like in this area, like off the freeway where there's residential. And, you know, let them be like, you know, in the park and ride. There's a lot of places there. Fine, under the bridge, fine. But areas where like kids and, you know, property values can go down 20% because it's very brazen. And that's the thing that, like the RV, you know, like we had a shopping cart and, you know, I understand the hygienic thing, but is there any way we can zone them into the industrial area?
They are zoned. That's my question, is that they are zoned. And the story with the guy in the RV at the top of Tampa, and I've spoken with a lot of officers from Project Hope, and they had the same problem along the Orange Line. And what happens is they take those signs down. And the prosecutors, since the officers can't prove that they took those signs down, don't prosecute them. But the signs have to be up, and eventually they did that. But my question is, along Tampa, there is clearly a violation sign parking between, I think it's 1 o'clock in the morning to whatever. The RVs that are on Porter Valley Drive are parked right under a sign that says no camping, no loitering, no anything. So why specifically, if those violations are happening, it's been weeks, why aren't those violations being taken care of if you guys are out in the area and you're following violations?
Because they have no room to tow.
They don't have to, you can move the vehicle. I'm not telling them to arrest them, not telling you to pound the vehicle.
You're talking the RV next.
Yeah,
Just move the RV.
And not register it.
Right, why aren't the RVs at least ticketed and made to move?
Oh, they can be ticketed.
They've been there for
You're
months.
right. They can be ticketed. I'm trying to answer your question. But right now with the room for RVs, they
I'm not asking you to impound them, I'm asking you to cite them.
We'll cite them then.
It's been months and people have called them in.
I'll look, and sometimes you don't realize, sometimes officers do go out there and cite them, and what do? They go ahead and they
Throw the ticket in the trash.
and they take them off.
I understand, I understand your problems. I
And
understand.
then here's another thing that they do, just so you're aware. When we do go ahead and impound the RV, some of them go ahead and wait to try to buy it back, because now they know that they don't have to pay those fees. All those, let's say 20 tickets that were put on there, gone. Now they get a clean RV, well, not a clean RV, but they get an RV that doesn't have anything attached to it, because it went through that process. So there's a lot of things that, no, trust us, that we are upset about. A while ago, we were trying to see if we could get them crushed, like get them, or hey, you know what, that they have to, if they are gonna, when they go out for auction, that they have to buy them back at a higher dollar amount. But that hasn't gone through.
But I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about the presence we have right now, and you know as well as I do that this small presence is going to grow. Because you are limited to what you do, and just because that person's on Tampa and there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can do about the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So if you are aggressive with violations that you can cite them for, it will hinder it.
Yeah, but we do try, sir. We'll continue, like I said, we'll go ahead and we'll try to go ahead and do that.
Appreciate that.
Also, I just want to mention that there is a homeless committee for Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council upcoming on December 8th. It's going to be at Sunday, 6 p.m. at the Starbucks. And they actually do work with the Hope and etc. So if you have any concerns, please go to that meeting and discuss it there as well, because they are directly work with the homeless regarding the homeless.
When was that again?
It's this Sunday, December 8th at 6 p.m. at the Starbucks.
Okay, thank you.
And it's the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council Homeless Committee.
Thank you.
If anybody wants to.
Yeah, the chairman, she was here, I'll point her, she comes. Just outside. Yeah, we'll point her. So what we'll do is, with your recommendation about changing ordinance and all that, and the signage, the next meeting we'll do a community impact statement, and I'll hand deliver it to the Public Works, to Kevin James, the president, and we try to have the neighborhood council take a push on that somehow through the Public Works. So those two items, we will have a draft for the next meeting, and you're welcome to share with us.
I've been in the homeless meetings.
No, for us, not you.
Okay, I'll help you drop something down.
Okay.
But I would also highly recommend, I used to go to, when I was president, I used to go to the valley meetings and get everybody in the valley on one page to approach City Hall. Because if we do a onesie-twosie thing, they just blow us off. We've never had any city council support for this kind of thing. I mean, so we've got to go citywide. So first we've got to start with the Valley Alliance and then maybe the other neighborhood counties.
Well, we got to still do another one, because I know we've talked about the homeless for more than 30 minutes.
I appreciate it. I have a legal question. Is loitering illegal?
So in of itself, loitering is not. However, there are laws in place loitering for, let's say, drug sales, loitering for prostitution. If there is loitering and there is a criminal activity afoot, there's a certain penal code section, but loitering in of itself.
Loitering for,
What about undressing and urinating on the corner of the butt in front of the 7-Eleven? Is that not, did I hear you say you can't arrest anyone for?
No, it depends on, no, we can't. We can, but a lot of, it's...
I mean, I was driving my kids to school and, we're at the stoplight and there's someone with their pants hanging down. And I just, to me, that's, it's not, I don't like being in a box, like I don't.
When they're showing
It's a variety, and you've got mental illness and drug, and it's a public health and safety issue too.
If they're actually showing parts, we can.
Okay.
But that's what I was saying, but sometimes, the reason why I was saying about the urinating, because a lot of times they're facing away from you.
Right.
And now, before we used to be able, oh no, you're good, we can go ahead and get you.
I know, because I saw someone hauled away to jail in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta for doing that.
Let me get your question, ma'am.
If he's urinating against the wall, that's legal, but if he's urinating towards the street, you can arrest him. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a group of young people that live
around those RVs, park and ride, but I think they camp, they have a little trail along the 118 and it goes down and they go every night and they live in there. And I was really worried during all the fire season because they're down there and if they start a fire, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be the city's, because isn't there a law about that?
So
Yeah.
So this is, I did have a meeting with Highway Patrol, because that's part of their jurisdiction, as well as
Caltrans.
Caltrans, yeah.
So Caltrans, so the officers are working with Caltrans, they're keeping an eye on that, and they are gonna be working with Hope, but they're gonna be pushing them out of there. So,
I mean, Hope did come, they cleaned up the area,
But then they
and
come
now
back.
a week later, it's another like a dozen shopping carts,
So-
and so much trash and just. it's
but that particular
disgusting.
area is Caltrans and Highway Patrol. So they're pushing us
Well,
out.
it's there's a lot of dead trees and brush, and it's really scary.
And that's Caltrans clears out the one
Correct.
off of it.
Yes, correct. And we try to go ahead, like I say, we put the request in and we do it, and then they try to be on them as much as we can.
Can we
plan on that?
How about as a citizen, can I do anything?
Oh, you put in your request with,
No,
definitely.
I know, but I want to say something.
Well, that could be dangerous.
You know, and
But I know. but
I just wouldn't want you to confront anyone and get hurt. That's all. You know, for us, if people are out there doing whatever they want to
They live in
do,
the
I
park
mean,
and
that's
ride, they just throw their
that's
trash
your own thing.
everywhere.
But
It's
for
really disgusting.
folks, I'll give you an example. A couple transients were near that area where you're talking about by Shepherd, down below. They got an argument about a shovel. Whose shovel was what? One of the other transients that was in the argument pulls out a gun, shoots the guy in the face. You never know, and the reason why I'm saying is, you never know what they
I know,
have.
that's why.
And I'd feel so horrible, like if something happened to one of you folks, that's a responsibility, let us deal with certain things like that, or we find out, what resources we can utilize.
They're not the kind that.
Never go down, talk to them by yourself, go be confrontational with them, just because they're not mentally balanced too, and you never know what they're gonna do.
And I think that's why a lot of us are here, not
Okay.
because of the people that are down and on their luck, because of the safety issues. I was downtown, I just don't want to go into the play.
Right, so now we have to go to the next item.
1 second, let me just let the community know. So if anybody wants to reach out to the Highway Patrol, so if they're at the park and ride, if they're behind the 118 freeway, where it should be Caltrans and the Highway Patrol, Officer Joseph Ligon, Ligon, you can reach out to him. If you want his email, I'll be more than happy to give you his email. Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, it's jligon@chp.ca.gov.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah. His officer is named Joseph Ligon, Ligon, and he and his partners, there's only 4 of them, handle the homeless that run up and down the freeways. I mean, they go from Ventura County all the way to LA County. I mean, it's a huge area that these guys have to handle. Once again, their email is jligon@chp.ca.gov.
One thing I was gonna say just real quick.
Now,
In 5
I have
years,
to stop.
Can we do something that like in Lancaster, build something and take them all?
I really need to move on to the next item.
That's spot on.
Like Valley, you gotta do it.
They can do it.
Centurion.
They run it.
So the next item is the Centurion Security Company, which handles both Renaissance and Sorrento Meadows. And we'll give you the floor.
Dave, you can sit right here.
Thanks. You're on. Thanks a lot. Thanks for warming up the crowd. Very much. My name is, I'll just stand. My name is David Rosenberg, and my partner Stephen Lemmer is in the back. And we started Centurion 29 years ago. We were on LAPD at the time and thought we would be entrepreneurs, and we've since retired from the department. So we take some of our skill set, and I've sat in this very uncomfortable seat as the senior lead officer is sitting in right now, and it's brutal, because he's doing the best he can, given the tools that he's allowed to work with.
and he's extremely frustrated. And back when I was on horseback doing what he was doing, which is a long time ago, we had those tools, and there is these sections, 4118, right, LAMC, and you couldn't block the sidewalk, and if somebody was laying on the sidewalk, you could actually arrest them. And if they were peeing and facing the wall, you could arrest them for urinating in public. And these are all quality of life issues, which when I was a senior lead officer, I could use, and they were very effective. But then the ACLU got involved, and a lot of other special interest groups, and made it very difficult for law enforcement to do their job. So you see this hair? I don't have it. That's a blessing what he has right there. I lost all mine as soon as I became a senior lead. So I went into the private security sector with Steve, and look at Steve's hair too. This is what happens when you're a retired cop. It just falls off. So we went into the private security sector, and we came up to the Porter Ranch area, and we've been here for, I want to say, 18 to 20 years. These were all young men when they started with us as security guards. We have Henry and Don and Eric and David Carell, all very young and security guards, and they worked their way up to be account managers. And they're here today to support us in case the crowd got ugly. How are you, Pat?
Good to see you, Dave.
It's one of the first communities, and Pat sat on one of the boards.
We worked with Renaissance and hired you guys.
Yes,
yeah,
and Sorrento.
Yeah.
So the access control is what we do. We're at the gates. So your visitors come in, we identify who your visitors are, we call the resident, or the resident calls us, and everything happens on the visitor side. And then most of the communities up here have transponders. So if you're a resident, you come in on the transponder side, you don't stop, you're in, you're out. Where our problem comes is that it's a gated community, but people can hop over gates, and they can come in through open space areas. So as much as you live in a gated community, that adds an extra layer of security, but you have to be smart and make sure that your doors are locked, because I will tell you, as long as we've been up here, it blows my mind, but people leave their car doors unlocked, they leave their keys in the ignition, they leave their front doors to their homes unlocked, the back doors unlocked, they have alarm systems but they don't set them, or they have an alarm system, it's broke but they don't use it. And many people who are victimized, believe it or not, sometimes it comes from your own community, because some kids aren't angels, or some kids that live at home with their parents might have a drug addiction, and they have to support that addiction. So they burglarize homes within their community. We've seen it. We've seen it for the last 20 years. So you really have to be proactive. There is reactive, but be proactive and put up those Ring devices or the Nest device, and put an alarm system in your car.
And just lock your car.
Or just lock your car. Or don't leave a paper bag with $10,000 in cash on the front seat and your window down. True story.
Yes.
So I don't make any of this up. We just sit back and we read the reports and we just say to ourselves, why? It didn't need to happen. So there are a lot of tools that you can do yourselves that is going to mitigate the circumstance. And let's go back to what we talked about, the gentleman that was followed home. I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm just going to say if one were to be followed home, and we're not going to talk about that one individual, you have a lot of options. And if you suspect that you're driving home, and I tell this to my family members, I tell it to my wife, my daughters, my son, their friends, doesn't matter male or female, be aware of your surroundings, just like the senior lead officer said. I do not go to I carry a weapon, I have a CCW, I do not go to an ATM at night because I do not want to be a victim. I don't want to have to use force against anybody. I use common sense. And if I do need cash in that rare occasion, I go inside of a store and I buy a piece of, get a pack of gum, and I say, can I have less cash, please? And I put it in the machine and I get my $40 and I put it in here. Bad guys are predators, just like the senior lead officer said. Don't put yourself in a position where you can become a victim. You need to be hyper vigilant. With that being said, are there any questions about what we do on the private security side and I accept compliments, and I'm very sensitive to any negative talks.
I live in the Renaissance, so we changed security companies. What are you doing different that the other security company did not do?
You haven't changed security companies?
Or it's the same one?
It's the same one.
So it's
Same
since 2007?
I believe going back to
Oh, so was it
2007.
maybe just the name, just the gate or the name? It wasn't-
It's always been
Oh, it's
Centurion Group.
staff.
Maybe new staff is there, and you have exceptional staff that are there. They're terrific. Brian is your post commander.
No,
Brian has been with us for a long time. And look, they're employees, and these individuals, they're not making.
I have no complaints.
Oh, thank you, because I am sensitive. But, they take a beating. Oh my gosh, most of what they do is everything they do is videotape. And when you look at the audio video on some of the confrontations that they have, they just want to do their job, they want to go home. But people can be so nasty. But you can also lose your patience, because if 5 cars are lined up at a gate, and if it takes us, let's say, 30 seconds to a minute per car, by the time the last car gets up to the window, 5 minutes has gone by. And I know what it's like if I'm at a Starbucks drive-up window. That 5 minutes seems like 5 hours, right? But you've got your kids in the car or wherever you want to go to that house, but that 5 minutes seems like an eternity. But this is part of the process of living in a gated community. So it's just like embrace it. And what's helpful for us is when the resident calls down to the gate and notifies them ahead of time that the guest is coming. And that you pay attention, not you, but one pays attention to their phone, so when we call and announce that the visitor is there, that you pick up the phone, because the delays come in when they call the phone, but there's no answer, and then they call another phone, there's no answer, and they call another phone, and then we have to turn the guest away because we're unable to make contact.
So ever since we had incidents in our community in the Renaissance of people jumping over the fence, so Brian and a couple of the other security guards, if we call them, if we see somebody on Mason, they'll send somebody over there to drive by and they take pictures of the cars, the license plate, and I think that's really helpful, because they're trying to be helpful and we appreciate it.
Totally helpful.
Yeah, so when we call them, they'll tell us, because there's a lot of cars up there late at night, they're just partying, you can hear them, they're drinking, they're throwing the trash all over the sidewalk, but if they drive up there, they see them get in the car and then they'll just drive off. So it's been very beneficial, so I appreciate that.
That is great to hear.
Yeah.
And it's very dangerous for them too, because
Yes.
they are unarmed security guards, and they're there to observe and report. So they'll use their lights to frighten people away, because when you're a kid and you're sitting in a car, or any bad guy, you're not thinking, is it a red and blue light that's coming at me? They're just lights, and they're going to leave. So we do what we can to deter any potential problem. We really don't want them to have any hands-on. None of these guys are judo experts. So it's all verbalization. We have a camera that's, just so you know, we have a camera that's inside the vehicle that shoots outside the vehicle, not literally shoots, but captures images.
James Bond.
I have to be careful what I say. And it also captures images from inside the car, and it captures audio from inside the car and out. The vehicles all have GPS tracking devices inside of it. We know how fast they're going. So if we get a complaint like, hey, your guy just went down my street at 50 miles an hour, Henry, who fills that complaint, can go right online and look and say, no, at that time, he was only doing 15 miles an hour. It might have just looked like he was doing 50. So we do a lot of tracking, everything that they do, and record keeping. We use a lot of technology to capture the incidents, the photographs, incident reports, and we work very closely with the LAPD and their investigation.
Another suggestion that you could do is, I always like folks to get their neighbors' numbers, and yeah, I say, at least have a, cordial hello, bye. You don't need to know all your neighbors' business, but at least know who belongs and who doesn't. Situations when you go, oh, hey, there's cars out there that shouldn't be there, and if it's your neighborhood, start calling your neighbors and tell them, hey, turn on the lights to the outside if they're able to, have all the lights go on, boom, 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 because then they'll start realizing, and go outside. Don't go outside and confront them, but, have them see that you're doing that, and get on the phone and let them know. And when they start going, hey, you know what, call the police, a lot of times they'll leave. They'll get out of there real quick.
It has helped our street.
So that's my 1 minute, 1 second, and the meeting's running really long, so I know.
No, we have one more
second.
question
Oh,
here from
okay.
Sorrento. Okay,
So,
go ahead.
Yes.
I live in Meadows, one of the 10 homes alongside Mason. So all of our backyards, we face Mason. And my neighbor's home was broken into on Thanksgiving. Not sure exactly what time, but when we got home, we were out of town. It was right around 10 o'clock before 10. The guest entrance arm bar was up and disengaged. I questioned about that. The following day, the guard told me that they were instructed to do so during non-operating hours. So I think that's one of the things, one of the red flags that I noticed when we got home, along with a few other red flags. This was all addressed during our HOA meeting last night, but it seems like there's definitely a common theme, trend, with respect to all of these break-ins. I mean, alongside Browns Canyon last year, a handful of homes were broken into. So all of these homes that lie on the perimeter of these various communities are being hit year after year. Are there any plans, or is there, or if you haven't thought of it already, to perhaps change your patrol routes to address some of these issues and make sure that some of these key points are being monitored on a more frequent basis?
We're doing that now. We never follow a cookie cutter pattern on any given one day. Henry and, well, this whole crew back there, I have to call out Henry all the time. There are tags that we set up in strategic locations that they actually have to get out of the car and touch, so they're out and about. The car itself has a GPS tracking device, as I mentioned, in it, and it will it doesn't direct the car which way to go, but we know where the car is, and we can give them the directed enforcement or directed patrol for something like that. But they don't have a predetermined pattern of where they go. And on any given night, when they're, let's say, supposed to be in let's say, Sorrento, or they're supposed to be in Bella Vista, or they're supposed to be in Renaissance, they could be in Bella Vista and receive a call for service in Renaissance, and they'll stop what they're doing in Bella Vista and they'll respond to Renaissance. And when they're done, they'll go back and finish their patrol in Bella Vista. So a lot of territory for one person to cover, but it's never a set pattern, to answer your question.
What about with respect to video surveillance? I know we're currently in the process of converting our system from analog to digital, but I realize in hindsight, all of us should be more proactive and have cameras in our backyards actively engaged, but I mean, realistically, that is not happening. So from your professional kind of experience, would it make sense for us to have some sort of kind of holistic cameras installed at certain point? Because I mean, we've talked about this as well, and it's all based on, you know, budget allocation and how much we have set aside in reserves to be able to meet these expectations.
Well, we've discussed that in the past, before, when we were having some issues about additional cameras and such. But just like you said, it all depends on budget.
It's budget.
But I mean,
Budget driven.
statistically, would it be effective? Or, because I've heard that some surveys have deemed that having any sort of cameras at various points would be ineffective. So I'm just...
I don't have those stats, but I know that we have communities that have a perimeter system, and these are areas in Bel Air that have an open space around them, and I have images on my phone of a stalker going after a celebrity that was activated. An area was activated by that perimeter system, and it comes up on a big screen, and we called up LAPD. We said we have a violation of restraining order. They responded within minutes, and I have a picture of the officers approaching and fighting with the suspect. So those things work, but they are extremely expensive. And you're talking about a huge, look at Renaissance, look at the size of that property. It would be very, very expensive to put an intrusion system around that entire piece of property. And then if you do a part of it, then what about all the neighbors on the other side? It is a big problem. So what is better and less expensive for the community is if everybody takes individual responsibility for their homes and does put their alarm system in, and they do use it, and they do motion activated lights,
and that you do have a device at your front door to monitor who comes in, and you do have a device in the backyard that will alert you. I have Ring. I'm not a spokesman for Ring, but I know who comes up to my door, I know who's on the side of my house, and I know who's in my backyard because I get a notification.
Exactly. Again, I'm a police officer.
Are
I
people
carry a
knocking?
gun. I have guns all over, you know.
Are people knocking to avoid Ring though? I was curious, because everybody has Ring.
Has a sensor.
It's still,
And they do
It captures motion right away, and it's like you say, these are all tools that you need to go and actually implement to help you, to prevent you from becoming a victim, because it does help out. When they see lights go on and anything, then they realize, hey, did they turn on that light for me, or is that motion activated? And like I say, all these other indicators that help you out, that you can go ahead if you wanted to tell, hey, you see someone and you're looking at them, tell them, hey, what do you want? What are you doing on my property? Leave. You know, like I say, these are all things that help you out. Dogs, I have dogs too, because right there.
One more question, and then quick question. I live in the Renaissance. Does your company monitor the speed of cars as well, or no?
Yes, actually there is a trailer that goes into Renaissance on a, it's not on a regular basis, but we will put it in there on regularly, and then this will display the speed of the vehicle going by, and it also does video and photo capturing along with the speed of the vehicle and the date and the time. And it is a great tool. Before we were shooting radar in one of the other communities, we saw top speeds of people doing 60, 65 miles an hour in a residential area. And then once we started doing the radar enforcement, it dropped dramatically.
Yeah, we had that in Sorrento. Henry, what was it, one day, 232? No, something like
miles
that?
per hour?
No. No, violations?
30 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 a day in moving violations. And so here's, because the streets are private, this is all done through the private security company, and then the violations are done through rules violation. So even the hands of the police department are tied in a private community because those are private streets. Interesting little fact that I shouldn't have told you.
Right, but no, actually in Sorrento, we are issuing violations.
Yes, no, but it can be just like any other violation. When you live in an HOA and you sign on the dotted line that you are going to follow those rules, you break the rules, you're going to get fined.
And then, Pat, in the Sorrento Safety Committee, you are considering
I haven't
cameras.
Yeah, they were, I haven't been to a meeting, but they are considering cameras along Browns Canyon, but they'd have to be Wi-Fi. Yeah, there's all sorts of big, expensive parts of, power, Wi-Fi, hardwired. It's very expensive. So.
Yeah, but what I was talking about wasn't private. Other parts of the city have publicly funded cameras that are monitored by LAPD. If we don't have a patrol up here, we need cameras up in strategic locations, and when somebody hits that camera, it comes up on the screen, and so somebody can monitor for that. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think this community should bear the full cost of this type of security that's available to other neighborhoods in the city.
So
We should get our fair share.
Right. So those, in my daytime job, I installed these in downtown and part with LAPD and some with Homeland Security. And right now, we're talking with the chief. There is possibly 4 intersections will be the first prototype that we install these cameras by the city. And it's going to be, accessible to LAPD. And once we finish with those 4 prototypes, we will add more.
What is their purpose of doing it at intersections? I'm not talking about traffic violation type cameras.
No. These are not traffic. This is just for monitoring. The reason I put it in intersections, because with the same camera, I could capture east-west, west-east, and then it's a prototype. Once I justify with the data, I can get more budget to put it along the line. Some of them will tie to the solar panels I installed here on Porter Ranch Drive, because those 10 years ago, I have a full communication back to my office. so I could get live feed all the way back of the cameras with LAPD. And the funding just started flowing in through some assessment funds I allocated in the budget.
Okay, well, we have to find a way to get us higher on that list.
Well, I'm doing that.
Maybe it's
And I
Thank you,
asked,
sir.
I've been patiently waiting for a long time, and I've raised my hand several times. Where are these cameras gonna be in an intersection? Because I live on Ceston and Reseda, and we have a really high
Yes.
speeding problem.
Right.
And we haven't even discussed that, and really, I've been patient.
No, the Cessna and Reseda, okay, so there is a lot of discussions for that with the new traffic system, with the new camera system. It's been shelved for almost 4 years. But now I'm trying through mitigation, through our committee and through the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council to just override whatever obstacles we have and just go to implementation. Those are DOT, but we can...
You can try to request,
But we want to prevent bad things because when we leave the stop sign,
you as a community, if that's something that you want to try to do, ask for it. I mean,
Who do we ask for, and where do we go for that?
Councilman's office, Councilman Lee.
So where are these intersections, the 4 and?
At this time, I mean, it's just I have to sit with the LAPD and discuss it, but most probably Tampa Rinaldi and Mason Rinaldi and Cessna Mason and either Tampa Cessna or Porter Ranch Cessna. And then once we have it running,
We get.
no, I tell you, so the Reseda,
Gated communities, but you're not catering to the other side.
the Reseda is coming part,
higher taxes anyway.
well, it depends which fund.
No, regardless, we've been there longer.
No, we do pay higher taxes.
No, talk about per capita.
Yeah, let me finish my answer.
Let us finish.
Yeah, let me finish. So these 4 intersections is going through a special fund through the resilience program. The Reseda is, and Rinaldi and the Reseda assessment is going to come through the LADOT gas tax, which is in a different funding, but it's still the same cameras, maybe better cameras, because those will have capability to counter traffic at the same time. Like if you notice the one on Rinaldi and Wilbur, it has a sign says sync. The sync is for synchronizing traffic. This way it actually counts how many cars and adjusts the red and green accordingly. So those are going part of full intersection improvement, even beyond what I'm doing with the cameras.
Is there a timeline of when that's happening? Do we have any information?
We're trying, Gabriel and myself, to expedite with LADOT. We've been trying for a while. I'll give you example, Amigo. Yeah, Amigo Rinaldi, I signed the plans as city 4 years ago, but it took 3.5 years in Sacramento to give the green line.
That's the location where most of the accidents have been.
Can we open it?
Yeah, and you're right, and it is a issue. That's why I brought actually a sheet showing where all we call it K injuries, which stands for like killed, you know, we relate that to that. And I put that on the back table back there so people, you know, you guys are realizing. Just Devonshire in a whole, we've had a lot of those type of incidents. And it is something that we try to, you know, focus on as much as we can and actually bring Valley Traffic Division to come over here and monitor the area as much as they can. They do come out. I speak with Sergeant Fuqua. Funny name.
Yeah.
And he does. And I've seen other like reckless driving citations. Because for me, all senior lead officers, we get the reports. All the reports that go in an area, we read. And I was like going, oh, okay, cool. They're writing citations over there.
And the speed trailers that you added for us on Rinaldi and Wilbur helped a lot. because we had data on speeding, and we use this data to advocate with LADOT to expedite the left turn.
Yeah, well, the problem is when they're down at Rinaldi, Wilbur, Rinaldi, Tampa, all along Rinaldi, that's not where the people live. The people live up at Cessna and Reseda, Cessna and Tampa, and that's where the biggest impact and the biggest interruption to quality of life is going on. So I'm curious, and just for the record and for the minutes as well, is, you know, are you all doing anything with like the surveillance team scheduling on the weekends? I could almost set my clock to it. With Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 to about 3, we're gonna have copious amounts of street racing. And not only that, it's compounded when we get these film releases of Fast and Furious. Just, I mean, you can set your clock to it. So if we know that, you know, why aren't we scheduling?
More for that is, you need Valley traffic.
Well, I don't care who it is.
Yeah,
Valley
not
traffic,
VST
downtown
though,
traffic,
it's like that's
get
something
somebody
else.
up here. And you know what, man? This is weak in terms of this issue. What's it gonna take? Somebody to get killed before we get some kind of compliance and some kind of action?
Last Saturday.
You know, last
Five
Saturday, we had
teenagers.
5 people that
Five
were
teenagers
injured.
in the car that were injured.
And 2 of them
There was
critical.
no fatality, but we are not
But they
waiting
were,
for that to
yeah,
happen.
and that was, they were,
Oh, it's been going on for years.
that was a
yes.
DUI. They were under
Yeah,
the
well,
influence.
you know, whatever the case, is we know that trend is occurring. And so, you know, for us to sit back and say, hey, we don't have the resources and we don't have the coordination, you know, it's like the problem is
I hear you, sir.
kicking
And
off.
cameras-
And cameras, sorry, but cameras aren't gonna help because these guys don't even, look, they just see like an empty street, they already know. And honestly, cameras aren't gonna do one thing, you know, but if you put like those speed things, or like the gentleman said,
Okay, so
if you
like-
randomly bring a police
Let me
officer.
bring it up again. I brought it up to
Scare 'em.
Hovey yesterday.
Bad
He didn't
spot.
even know about Plummer. Hovey didn't know about Plummer.
Yeah.
The Plummer west of Canova, those rumble strips or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Cessna is considered a major highway, and there's all sorts of
I'd love for them to be up there.
real weird rules about that. But from Reseda to the canyon, which is a big, and you know where I live down. I don't live up next to Chris, but it's been you know, Ron was here. You know, I put something on. I was really sad about those kids, even though they were all drunk. I was really sad. I put something on Facebook. Janine even replied to me. I don't blame the cops. It's not just the police. It's the neighborhood council. Since I was on the neighborhood council, Chris was on the neighborhood council, Ron was on the neighborhood
council.
We've been talking to Burnson, right? And you know, every councilman. This incident, which, looking at it now, was a north-south incident, not an east-west incident, should bring to you guys, to bring to the council, because that's the only place, you know, or the mayor, hey, we really have to do something. Somebody replied to me on
I'll talk
Facebook.
to Captain Burns
Yeah.
and see if they can talk to Captain from VTD and.
Yeah, you can't have a motor cop up there 7 by 24.
No,
I
know,
understand that, but on a Friday night,
Maybe try to do some other.
yeah, and it's,
You know, maybe if you put that PE car out there and it got hit, you know, maybe we get some action.
but you know,
Yeah, maybe if it got crunched, maybe there'd be some priority.
And Danny, you know I'm not blaming you, and I'm not blaming the city attorney. I'm certainly not blaming the neighborhood council, because I've been on that side of the table. But this, Jesus, made me sad.
Basic
Yeah, oh, yeah,
stuff,
no.
you know?
Something needs to be done.
We're here to work as a team.
Yeah.
You know, we're not here to.
Actually, Dave Hovey from Valley Traffic Division, when that I was like, he's gonna be my next guest speaker.
Okay,
That's my
good.
meeting.
Okay,
Which,
because I talked to him yesterday, and
January 23rd,
Okay.
9901 Mason,
at St. John Youth.
7 PM. Please come.
But
I always have a ton of chats with people, and a few of the Porter Ranch,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, so,
I always
but, you know,
love
the
to have
neighborhood
more.
council, this is election time, and a huge incident is a great time to start making this more visible to John, making it more visible to to her boss even.
I sat
Well,
on
Pat,
the
look,
committee.
we invite them, nobody shows
Oh, I
up.
understand.
I sat on the committee to endorse John Lee with the fire department. And the number one issue I brought up with him, and all the candidates, all 12 of them, was what is your, I can't remember the exact language, but what is your, yeah, how are you gonna solve this speed racing issue up in Porter Ranch? And John Lee specifically talked about what he was gonna do, and I'm wholly disappointed that he's not here today, or somewhere else. Because I called their office on Monday, and it was the first they'd heard of 5 people being injured in their district. Critically injured.
First time they've heard
19, 18,
that.
and 17.
I might be speaking out of turn, but I'm gonna say it anyway. That was a disappointment to me from the public safety deputy. That should have been issue 1 in that office.
Well,
Something
that's what
must have
we'll-
came up because, to be
And you
honest
put
with
that on the
you,
record.
he told me he was gonna be here.
Okay. And you
So
know,
I honestly believe something probably came up.
Well, see, that's why we delegate.
we occasionally, Chris and I occasionally see your boss
I talked to him this morning.
in the morning.
I talked to him once.
And, you know, it's his community too. It's his direct community
Yeah,
too.
no, I know, yeah. Yeah.
And that's, you know, again, you know
Look,
where I
I
live.
mean-
You know I live in Sorrento.
Yes,
That's
you're my
not-
neighbor.
That's not my direct issue. But man, this has been going on the whole, well, I had a guy talking about, you know, when an Amish guy riding his buggy up there, you know. But, you know, it's been going on
Matt,
a
I've
long
seen
time.
that outfit. Come
You
on.
know, to get back to the issue is, to the neighborhood council specifically, you know, what is your immediate plan, your short-term plan, and your long-term plan to address this? I mean, because now we can help you. We can say, hey, I can take a little piece of that, I can carry the ball here, you know, we can advocate this way. Because it doesn't seem like there's a plan, I haven't seen anything, you know, here, not one measure, not one talk about here in the agenda. And I don't know, I'm looking for guidance here. I'm looking for
Today,
leadership.
I'll tell you, today's goal was to hear all of you, see what the main concerns are, to see what the problems are, which we already knew, but we can't take action because we want to. We need you all to come and tell us the issues. Although I can know everything in the world, I can't do anything about it until you tell me, you complain, you complain, you complain. And then the council can actually, neighborhood council can actually sit down and make, you know, talk about it, discuss it in public, and take action, write letters to the proper authorities. Without you, or all of you complaining, or one person complaining, nothing could be done. Multiple people complaining, the neighborhood council, the safety committee, etc., can take action, write the letters
Yeah,
needed.
what I'm talking about there was accountability. Who are we gonna hold accountable when my wife's out there walking her dog at midnight and gets run over by, and truth be told, you know as well as I do, people don't stop anymore. You know, they just run you over and leave you like a dog in the street. You know, so who are we gonna hold accountable? You know, who do we have on record as being notified? So that we can say, hey, we've got culpability here, and you can't say you can deny it. That's what I'm talking about.
Chris?
And that's what your role is as a neighborhood council.
Chris, I'd like
to speak for us.
Chris, I'm glad you've come, and I love your energy. I'd like to invite you to come out and be part of the traffic safety committee as a stakeholder.
I agree.
I mean, they don't meet, we meet bi-monthly or whatever. But if you'd like, you're, any of the stakeholders,
gave so much
you can
time
join
on it.
any of the committees that come out here. We'd love to have you.
And I'll take your recommendation
Absolutely.
directly to my boss, to the mayor. I'll skip the council, because there is a disconnect with the council office and the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council.
It seems to me like we need a holistic omnibus approach to this problem. And it's on so many different levels. I mean, it's not appropriate for this meeting. But I see 2 facilities, quiet as kept. I see 2 facilities here in the city that could truly go a long way toward eradicating the street racing problem. And with the city attorney's help and getting the impounding and, you know, that whole issue back, and a public education piece, and, you know, some hands-on. I mean, it's a wonderful thing what I see these young people doing with these cars.
And they are allowed, and LAPD is impounding now. Is that correct, Danny?
Well, according to the chief of police this morning, he said no, they're not impounding.
Oh, no, they are.
I asked him straight up.
Then,
No, but if
Danny,
it
you have
has,
any input on
They
that?
were, but now he's saying no, because
Okay,
he can change.
well, it is and not, either way. It seems to me like, when I go to Thousand Oaks, some of my colleagues live in Thousand Oaks, they have a multimodal approach with the CHP and the education system and, you know, the law enforcement out there, and they don't really have a problem with folks speed racing and, you know, acting like, you know, this place is, you know, the racing facility out there.
They push them out of there and tell them to come to LA.
Yeah, well, you know, and it's not hard for them, it's a vehicle.
No, but listen,
You know?
I mean, in defense of even Devonshire and all that, the speed racing problem I face, not only CD12, CD7, we have even crazier, you know,
Yeah,
racing
well, that's what
going
I'm
on.
saying. We need
It's
a
citywide.
holistic
No, so
approach
just to
this
push
thing
it on
citywide.
Devonshire is not fair.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. The facility I'm talking about is that Porsche Experience down there at the 91 and the 110 freeway. We need to build one of those here in the city. We have a perfect example of one right here at Davis Training Center. And so that's what I'm talking about. You know, that's what we need to implement. If it was a dog park, we'd have it done already. You know, we got a dog park right down here at Victory and
But
Oxnard.
I hear what you're
There's
saying,
3
trying to look
acres.
for a location that would maybe accommodate that.
Yeah, so, you know, like I said, we need to take it from a macro sense and try and solve it. You're right, it's not gonna get solved at Northbridge Neighborhood Council, just like Granada Hills or Chatsworth, because this is a mobile issue.
Chris, what I'd like to see happen is, let's make a short list of things that we're gonna demand from the city. It can't be like a 20-item list.
Yeah, that's what we.
Okay, so speed cameras and license plate readers at Reseda and Cessna, it may be an example.
Pilot it right here.
Cleaning up the homeless under the 118 freeway and around Porter Ranch. The lady's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Get the mayor's rear down here with our city council member, which I hear exactly what you're saying. I voted for David Balin over here, by the way, for council, because I've already dealt with that office with the prior councilman who did nothing. But let's get them down here and let's get Channel 4, Channel 2, and Channel 7 to come down with us and have a press conference right at Cessna and Reseda Boulevard and ask them, what is your plan, your timetable? No more waffling with fancy Dan talk. Give us the dates, and if you don't hit those dates, we want the press to come back out. And also, let's hook up with that woman that's got the recall Garcetti thing. The next thing we do is we start walking the neighborhoods and start collecting recall signatures.
That's one approach.
Because if we complain at the dinner table, we're never going to get anything, because I can tell you, the city right now is not going to do anything for us. Right at the moment, they're not doing anything for us.
And you know, to echo your point about the jurisdictional lines, I work in Century City, and we're surrounded by Santa Monica, Culver City, Beverly Hills, and LA City. And you can tell by the drive when you leave those other cities, because you don't see any homeless visible. They have them, but you don't see them visible. And as soon as you come to LA City, they're all over the sidewalks, all under the underpasses, et cetera, et cetera. But, yeah, it's gonna take a federal thing to fix this, because we ain't got it.
All right, before I leave, I just don't want to lay all of this as your problem, or Danny's problem, or Aleen's problem. It is a large problem, and it was Ron and Chris and I all worked on it 10 years ago.
Yeah, we got the blinking light, we got the
We know what the
diamonds.
problem is, this is not the form I can answer.
I understand.
Yeah, the problem, I know exactly what it is,
Yeah.
but I cannot answer in the
Okay.
PRNC meeting.
Right.
You know, I can have another meeting with you and I discuss it freely. But within these bonds, when I'm sitting behind this.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I think it's like Ron said, we need a plan. We need
Yes,
a
I agree with you.
short term,
So
and a
don't leave
long-term
without,
plan.
leave us your name, leave me your contact number, because I would like to, you know, use all this energy.
I don't want to
help
serve on
you.
no committees.
No, it's not going
Chris, you were the mover and shaker in your time. I mean, you're the.
Yeah, you were the-
I'm in the drop.
I didn't mean that.
I'll meet you for a cup of coffee and discuss
Sorry.
Somebody jumped up.
Go to item number 6. Anybody here regarding the fire?
Because I live on the left
That time,
side of that road, the road's on its own
Table number 6 for now.
Years, they've,
But again, it goes
some of
to
it.
backyard.
the minute that fire
I'm not sure how they
jumped the
exited.
fire.
We have a ring camera in our backyard.
From the other surrounding area. And we didn't have to report the fire even got here. And that's
I don't
why
have my PRNC
You
card.
might want to think about
that was
two or three ring
that's why they were so upset.
especially if you live on.
It wasn't
I live on.
This is my cell phone.
The leadership didn't recognize they had a major problem on their end.
So we're on the perimeter.
What's your definition of
It's a real high fence.
Listen, I cannot talk right now. If you want to meet me outside, I'll talk.
Yeah,
When I
we're on,
recommended to the
yeah.
mayor and the LAFD a long time ago,
I can see Brown's Canyon, not on Brown's Canyon, I'm one canyon over from Brown's Canyon.
major fires.
I'm closer to Rinaldi
That's exactly what
than
we
where all
did.
those
We
people
turn
were.
those out without anybody being there.
So,
Yakety, yakety, yak, that's all we get from this.
so, man, that really, but we have rings, we have a ring in our front door, and we have a ring.
Any other public comments?
Seems like everybody uses this ring.
And the rings
All right, let's
all
call
are
the meeting
motion.
adjourned at
Motion.
8:25.
So light